Ninjago is an ever-evolving show that gives us a plethora of content every single year, but of course when you do get new content, the opinion on what is released will always vary from person to person. And that's fine, that's amazing. The conversations that it creates are absolutely amazing, and I love to take part in those conversations when I can. But the thing is that when these conversations do take place, you realize that a common consensus is always apparent when you do discuss certain seasons or certain characters. But there will always be people who have a conflicting opinion, and that has come to be known as the hot take. And I have done plenty of Ninjago hot take videos over my time doing this channel, and honestly they are some of my favourite ones to do. And like always, I have taken a look back at the last time we did do a hot takes video, and I have taken another 7 hot takes from you guys, because these ones honestly are fairly interesting and I want to go through them in today's video. So that is what we are going to do, look through your guys' hot takes. And I will say, I read through every single comment. I was honestly enjoying these comments and your hot takes so much, so thank you to everyone who has and hasn't made it in the video. And of course, I would love to know what your Ninjago hot takes are in the comment sections down below, because this is where I pull them from and I can't wait to see more of them. But let me not waste any more of your time and let's get into some Ninjago hot takes. The first one is going to be coming from Monkey King 778. Hello my friend. And your hot take is that Jay's arc was just unsatisfying, as not only do the writers revert him to his old self rather quickly, but it never feels like his relationships to the other ninja are important. It is just Jaya. And honestly, I definitely do see your argument when it does come to this point. Now I will say that I am personally on the boat that I actually really like what they did do with Jay. And I'm not saying that I'm not worried about Jay moving forward, it's just I do really like what we got with him in part 1. I definitely do think there's a lot of opportunity for them to ruin this plot point, but I'm just hoping that the writers are having it in good hands. But honestly, I can really see why it would be unsatisfying, because yes, they do revert him quite quick, and towards the end of the season, they're not really doing too much with the memory concept. This is mostly just down to the fact that all the plots were combining, so I'm guessing they just simply didn't have the time to do it, but it's still just a shame that we didn't really get more of it. And like you said, I just hope they don't just completely revert him back and do nothing with him going forward. If he goes back to 11-minute era Jay, I will definitely be disappointed. And like you said, they are mainly exploring the relationship with Nia, but I do think that makes sense because of how long it's been since we've actually seen it. My hope is that in part 2, we will get that more expanded version of Jay's dynamic with the team, and honestly, I am definitely looking forward to that if they actually do it. This is mostly just coming down to whether or not they're actually going to give us the time for Jay in part 2, but I like to think that they will. But of course, who knows, Ninjago has definitely fumbled it before. But I definitely see your point, Monkey King, and thank you very much for the hot take. This was definitely an interesting one. Our second one is going to be coming from CMZF947. Hello my friend, and you have 6 hot takes, so let's get into all of them. Number 1, Pixel should have met up with Sora's group. These young heroes are trying to deal with this unusual situation with their powers being all wonky, and who better than the only member of the OG team without powers to show them what it means to truly be a hero. Honestly, this is perfect in my opinion. Honestly, one of my biggest complaints with Season 4 Part 1 is the fact that Pixel just basically goes missing. They gave her nothing to do when they very easily could have done so, and I honestly never considered the solution that you have just presented. Having Pixel happen to come across the new ninja, I do think would have been amazing, because other than that, where actually is she? Remember, all of the ninja are in different realms, so it means that she perfectly picked all of the incorrect realms to look through. So I do think this would have been a good solution, and like you said, showing Pixel's experience through the lens of being a ninja without powers would have genuinely been amazing. She would have just been a very valuable asset, and it would have given us some dynamics that we haven't seen yet. Pixel doesn't really interact with the new ninja, so this genuinely would have been perfect. So yeah, this first one, 100% agree my friend. Your second one is that Cole's side of the story should have started earlier with him and the team he creates traveling around parts of the merged lands to try and find his friends, and then he comes across Dr. LaRoe and gets involved in stopping her plans. Again, I completely agree with you. Cole's implementation into the story was definitely an interesting one. He's in there basically by happen chance because he's just vibing in the monastery before that point in time. So if there was more of a natural entry into the situation, it would have definitely been a lot better. But I still really like Cole's plot regardless, and I actually do like the fact that he does it on his own. I honestly could have seen the idea of Cole going around the merged land on his own and happening across the plot, but honestly, I'm just kind of fine with how they did it because I'm happy with Cole on an overall for the season. So whilst I do agree with you, and it definitely would have been very cool to see, I'm not entirely on your side with this one. I am sorry. Your third one is that Raz should have taken someone captive when he invaded the monastery, like Aaron's parents or Geo or both. It doesn't have to align with his plans, but he does it because the ninja had interfered with his plans for too long. I'm seeing your point, but I also do think I disagree with you on this one. The thing with Raz is that he doesn't want the ninja to interfere. He doesn't want the ninja to be in the way. He always notes the fact that the ninja are constantly getting in the way of their own plans, and he's honestly just kind of sick of it. That's the reason he separated them all into the merged lands to begin with. So I do think the concept of Raz taking a hostage definitely would have been interesting, but I do think it would have gone against what Raz would have wanted. Because if he did have people that the ninja wanted back, of course the ninja are then going to interfere with him once more. I think by all accounts he just wants to be left alone. So I think it genuinely does make sense that he left them all there to be, because then there just would have been any sort of link back, and I just think that is just making more sense for his character. So I understand what you mean, and it would have been really cool, but again, I just don't think it lines up. Your fourth one is going to be a Frax arc with his dad felt too much like Sora's thing with her parents in season 1. While I understand it's a bit better after some people explained it, I'm not entirely sure we needed a repeat of that. I understand where you're going for this, but also no. The thing with Sora's arc with her parents is that it's an arc where Sora just doesn't want to be associated with them anymore. She wants nothing to do with her parents, she's found a new family and that is it. Her parents are just constantly trying to manipulate and just trying to control her and get her away from the ninja, and I do think that is a fairly cool plot. But in comparison, Frax's arc has been a case of he doesn't realise what his father truly does. He doesn't realise the treatment that he allows people to be put through. He wants a relationship with his dad, it seems to be, but it's just not really feasible. And his father isn't necessarily trying to be a bad parent, I just think he's just gotten a bit lost in the sauce. So I do think there are some distinct differences that I think makes it a little bit better, but I do understand what you mean because the parents plotline is something that most of the new ninja do have. So yeah, it would have been nice for something more original, but I do think Frax one is good nonetheless. Your fifth one, you said that, I know I've kind of covered it, but there's nothing wrong with that. You said that Jay should have acted more like Rogue, to show that his soul is still shattered, but he's trying to change and be a better person. Yeah, I agree, this is 100% the case. The shattered goodness concept needs to remain for it to have any sort of meaning because there's so much emphasis on it. They do mention it in part 1, so I'm hoping they are keeping track with this idea and we're going to see more of it, but who truly knows? Jay does have the odd action that feels a little meh, like when he holds Donovan basically threatening point. I don't know if I can say the real term for it on YouTube, but honestly, it is those little moments, but definitely when he got his memories back, it felt a little bit different. So who knows? I'm hoping they don't forget it, and yes, he should still act like he shattered his goodness, but who knows? Maybe Jay becoming good and getting his memories back is just synonymous, but again, we'll find out in part 2. But yeah, I agree. And your last one is that you don't really like that the writers tricked us with Kai's group and had them back in the realm of madness instead of taking them to the land of monsters. It was a wasted opportunity. I don't know how I feel about this one. The thing with the Land of Monsters is that it was basically a theory. It was just kind of based on the color palette of where they ended up. There was no confirmation to the Land of Monsters by any accounts. It's just what became the common consensus. I don't think they necessarily tricked us into thinking it, because I don't think that was their actual intention. Of course, I may be wrong, and we may have confirmation that I'm not aware of, but as far as I can tell, there was nothing really to solidify apply this idea that it was the realm of monsters. But that might just be me. But personally speaking, I don't mind that it was the realm of madness. I think it was fine for what it was, but it is what it is. But I get your points. But thank you very much for all of your hot takes, CMZ, and honestly, they were really fun to talk through. I'm glad you gave us all of them, and I definitely do like these longer posts that you do give. So thank you very much, my friend. Our third hot take for today is going to be coming from Anaconda Warrior 16. Hello, my friend. And you said, Lloyd not beating his evil side was not a cop-out. He was beaten down and still got back up. That's so real. You can't always win against your doubts, against yourself. But you always persevere anyways. You can do great things, including connectly more deeply with others. And honestly, I completely agree with this one. This is so on the point for me. I never understood the notion that Lloyd losing the fight to Evil Lloyd was a bad thing. I think that fight says a whole lot about both of the characters respectively, and I really do like it. I like the fact that he won in an unconventional sense. I think that really does make sense and feels fitting for the Green Ninja. He's not exactly a typical case whatsoever, and if there were all these previous Green Ninjas, it's nice that there was a way to truly set him apart. So yeah, I like what you mean, and I like how you've worded it. You don't always win against your doubts. You don't always win against yourself. There's always going to be that doubt, that anxiety, that feeling that you're not good enough. And Lloyd definitely does feel that. So to really explore it, I am actually very happy with. So yeah, Anaconda Warrior, you've nailed it with that one. Thank you very much, my friend. Hot take number 4 is going to be coming from Rusted Bubble 4756. Hello, my friend. And you said, a small hot take of mine is Frack's line. If I can't quake, what will I do? What am I even good for? Is so out of character for him, as in season 2 he said, I fought bullies long before I became a master of Quake. We're more than just our powers. Honestly, yeah, I'm with you on this one 100%. That fear that Frack and Wildfire had at the beginning of Season 4 Part 1 definitely did feel very off. It makes more sense for Wildfire because she always did grow up with her powers presumably, but with the case of Frack, like you said, he was a ninja long before he was a ninja. He was a hero long before he was a hero. He stood up to bullies, he helped Aaron, he did everything that he truly could. So I fully agree with you here. It definitely did feel a little bit out of sorts. Luckily they don't reapproach the concept, but I'm just kind of ashamed that they did it to begin with. I do think Frack, like you said, wouldn't have done that if it was season 2 or even season 3. It just felt like a way to introduce some form of panic, so yeah, I'm just not really on board with that one. But honestly, like you said, I do think it just really doesn't fit with his character, so I 100% agree with you here. So thank you very much, Rusted Bubble. Our 5th hot take is going to be coming from Person 42069. Fair enough. Hello, my friends. Your hot take is that Teen Lloyd should have gotten more screen time, plus we should have seen some other Elemental Masters being affected and thus getting involved in the story. I agree, but also I don't at the exact same time. In terms of the Teen Lloyd aspect, I 100% agree with you. The younger variants of Lloyd should definitely have been used a whole lot more. Teen Lloyd did get some time, but in comparison to the enemy Lloyd, it definitely didn't feel like much, and Kid Lloyd basically got 3 scenes, so it definitely did feel like overall wasted concepts. I do think they could have done a lot better, but the part I don't really agree with you on is the aspect of other Elemental Masters getting involved in the story specifically. I do think there is a good opportunity for them to have done it, but I just don't know if it would have really fit. We have a very large character pool this time round. I mean, just adding Euphrasia felt me worried because I was genuinely wondering how they were going to balance all these characters. Luckily they did, but that's beside the point. But if you introduced a whole load of more Elemental Masters into the story, it definitely could have gotten messy. I can't imagine how they would have been able to balance more of them like Neuro, or Tox, or Geo for the likes of that. Even though he was there, he wasn't there for much. So it definitely does lead to this idea that it could have just been a little bit overflowing, but maybe some form of acknowledgement of other Elemental Masters would have been interesting. So I agree, but I don't. But thank you very much, Person 42069. That name took me off guard. This brings us into hot take number 6, which is going to be coming from Becky Wilson 1550. Hello, my friend. And your hot take is that Beatrix shouldn't have been a part of the loyalist stuff. It should have just been LaRoe forming a cult to put herself on the throne. And with context of season 1, I can actually kind of agree with this. I was recently rewatching season 1 part 2, and I realized that one of the last interactions between LaRoe and Beatrix was actually an argument between the two of them. So it definitely does call into question why LaRoe specifically would have actually have gone through all of this effort. Of course it's because she's loyal to the good Empress, but the thing is that it definitely did come across weird after that rewatch. And like you said, it would have been cool maybe to have her at the helm. maybe have this idea that the argument between the two of them made her realize that she could do it better. She knew better. You know, Beatrix ultimately failed, whereas she didn't. She knew the correct answer. So it definitely could have had an interesting implication, and even bringing back Beatrix as an adversary would have been even cooler. Honestly, there are some good ideas that could have involved LaRoe at the forefront of the Loyalists, so I definitely do agree with you on that. Honestly though, I am kind of in preference of Beatrix being around because I really did like her in the season. So I agree, but I don't really want to fence sit. If I had to pick, I would keep Beatrix. So yeah, I love this one though, thank you very much. And the last hot take for today is going to be coming from Cole Brookstone Forever. Hello, my friend. And yours is, Wildfire is the best new ninja. She's exactly what Kai used to be, although not as good as him, but a little bit more brutal. She loves fighting, and fight kind of fuels her. Other new ninja are written like they are average people, especially Aaron, who is literally an average Joe, which shouldn't be the case. Now, I'm going to disagree, but I need to heavily caveat it. There's a running joke that I don't like Wildfire, and I do think that is fairly funny, but I will say that, honestly, I actually really like the character, but she's not my favourite of the new ninja. I don't entirely agree as well with the idea that all of them are just average apart from Wildfire. In my opinion, the best of the new ninja is Sora. I really like her character, I like her elemental power, I like the moments that she does have. Honestly, I've just been really happy with the character, and I hope she sticks around even after Dragon's Rising. But obviously, who knows? But I can definitely see the argument for Wildfire. She's definitely unique and has that flair that a lot of people truly do love. I know that I'm at the unpopular opinion when I say that Sora is my favourite. I know a lot of people love Aaron, a lot of people love Wildfire, a lot of people love Frack. There are many choices for new ninja, but just personally for me, it is just kind of Sora at the end of the day. But honestly, as it currently stands, Wildfire is probably in my top 3. So you can take that and you can run. So unfortunately we disagree, but there's nothing wrong with that. But those were all of the hot takes that I gathered for today, and all of these were absolutely amazing. I've had so much fun just talking through these points, and I want to know, like I said, what you think about all these hot takes. Do you like them? Do you dislike them? And again, more importantly, what is your Ninjago hot take? I would love to know what you're thinking, because again, I love these videos and I can't wait to make more of them as long as you guys continue to want them. So of course, let me know in the comment section down below. But thank you very much for watching the video, and I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider subscribing. I love discussing Ninjago with more people, and if you do want to support the channel any further, which you do not have to, you could always become a channel member and join the legends that you see on screen. Each of you, your support means the absolute world to me, and I cannot thank you enough. But like I said, that's about it for today, and take care. Okay,